Hello, Baseball Nation. Today we are going to do a top 50 prospects reaction and ratings video. So at number 50, we got Detroit Tigers 2021 draft pick Jackson Jobe. He's definitely a solid arm. He had the nastiest slider in the draft this year. He's one of those guys with he's got Cy Young potential, but I don't make it to the majors floor. Next up we got Brett Beatty. 55 overall grade. He's such a good hitter and he's got a cannon of an arm. He's got the sweetest swing in the minor leagues. At the Futures game, everyone was just loving his swing, and apparently he put up the best BP. Next up, we got Aurelvus Martinez, a little behind the other shortstop and the big shortstop in the majors in terms of the Blue Jays organization. Look for him to maybe play a different position or get traded. Next up, we got Next up, we got Robert Hassell. Robert Hassell was a 2020 draft pick to the Padres. Got picked 8th overall. He's a good hitter. He's kind of just a very balanced player in terms of fairly 5-tool. I mean, not like a 5-tool stud. He's just a 5-tool balanced guy. Next up, we got Tyler Soderstrom. Tyler Soderstrom is a solid catcher. He was the 26th pick in the 2020 draft, but in his season this year, he's got 12 bombs and a 3.06 average with a 3.09 OBP. So you can see why he's definitely climbing up these boards. Next up, we got Sixto Sanchez. Sixto is nasty. Everyone got to see him play up in the majors this past year, and he was absolutely disgusting. He was so much fun to watch. His changeup is dirty. His fastball is a 70 grade fastball. I don't understand these scouting grades. 70 fastball, 55 curveball, 55 cutter, 65 changeup, 60 control, and somehow he's a 55 overall. Dude, he should be like a 65 or a 60. He's definitely underrated. It's just because he hasn't played much this year. That's why I think he's so low. Because he already debuted and he was nasty. Nate Pearson. Nate Pearson is Mr. Velo. He's literally got an 80 grade fastball. He can't control. No, that's the problem. And if you want to be a major league pitcher, you got to be able to control your pitches. So that's why he's that low. Brandon Marsh made his debut. He's looked pretty good. Had a nice homer, and he had a nice series against the Tigers recently. Good hitter. Pretty solid in the field. Definitely, if their outfield is him, Joe Adele, and Mike Trout, everyone's going to love it. It's going to be so much fun to watch them. Next up, we got Alec Thomas, outfielder for the D-backs. Pretty, again, balanced player. He's pretty quick, pretty good hitter. Just a generally above-average guy. Cade Cavalli, pretty solid arm. I just don't get how he's possibly better than Sixto. I'd take Sixto over Cavalli every day. Next up, we got Christian Pasha, the defensive specialist. Can't really hit whatsoever. He's a solid fielder, but didn't show that in his little time in the majors. At least he's fast, but I just don't see him being a competent major leaguer. Next up, we got Luis Camposano, catcher for the Padres. He got traded from the Rays to the Padres. I like him as a player, not that quick. He's a pretty solid hitter, though, which you love to see. Next up, we got Austin Martin, trade piece from the Blue Jays to the Twins. I like Austin Martin. He's a really, really good hitter. Unfortunately, not much Vanderbilt players have really turned out in general, so I don't know what's going to really come of him. Royce Lewis, he went 1-1 in 2017. He's just been kind of poor in the minors. Unfortunately, I like Royce Lewis. I liked him out of the draft, but he's just not been that good. In his career, he's got a 266 average, and I say he's not been that good. I say that for a major leaguer. Hasn't played in a couple years, but he struck out 123 times in 127 games in 2019, and he really hasn't been like popping the ball out of the yard with only 30 homers in his 1,204 at bats in the minors. Emerson Hancock, the Mariners took him out of Georgia. He's pretty nasty arm, to be honest. I like him a lot. Good fastball. He's a balanced arm. He's got good control, and he's got a lot of good pitches. So I do definitely like Emerson Hancock. Next up, we got George Kirby. George Kirby was the 20th pick for the Mariners in the 2019 draft. He's got good control. That's what you like out of him. Good control and good velo, which is definitely a mix for success. Next up, we have Gabriel Moreno of the Blue Jays. International signing for them back in 2016. He's getting up there in age now. I'm getting up there, and he's 21, which is always amazing. He's a solid catcher. He is exactly what you look for in a catcher, as in terms of an offensive catcher. So it's good to see him succeeding. Next up, we got Jose Barrero, formerly Jose Garcia. Pretty solid in the field. He's kind of not in all the way to Pasha's level, but he's more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy. Next up, Nicola Dolo. He's nasty on the mound. He was the 7th pick in 2019 by the Reds. He's got good control and good stuff, which is a good mix for a good player. Max Meyer, number 3 pick in last year's draft. He's just like I would have to say he is as similar to Jackson Jobe as it gets. A nasty slider, solid fastball out of high school righty, Actually, my bad. He pitched for Minnesota, but he was he's like if Jackson Jobe went to college. Next up, we got Edward Cabrera. If you play MLB The Show, you know how nasty Edward Cabrera is. And that's just a replication of real life for him. He throws gas with his fastball. His control's not stellar, but he's got a good slider too, and that's why he is so good. Next up, we got Diego Kartaya, catcher for the Dodgers. It just doesn't make sense. The Dodgers trade out their best catching prospect, and this guy just moves up to 29th in the rankings. It's like the Dodgers just have this thing that just produces absolute studs and World Series. Very exactly similar to all the other catchers before him. A little bit better of a fielder, though. Next up, we got Khalil Watson. He was a draft pick in this year's draft. Good lefty shortstop. You always like to see those types of guys. He's a good all-around hitter. He's fast. He is a solid player, though. 55 hit, 55 power. So he is a pretty solid hitter. Hunter Green. I just want to show you this guy's stats. This year, 3.16 ERA, 124 Ks. That's nuts. And look at that, the 80 fastball grade. He is so good at throwing the heater. Next up, Jaren Duran. I'll show you this guy's stats too. Also, he's got that 70 run grade. He is a major leaguer. Hasn't looked great there, But then if you look back to his stats in the minors, he had 357 in 2018, 303 in the next year. Not, as you can see, not a strikeouts guy, which is always what you love to see. He's a major leaguer. I really like him. He looks really fluid. Nolan Gorman. I think he's underrated. Nolan Gorman is a solid player. Sorry for clicking that. I really like Nolan Gorman. I think he's definitely got a big time future. Reed Detmers, lefty for the Angels. He's in the majors right now. He was drafted in 2020, which is just amazing. It shows you how much the Angels need pitching. Just go sign a free agent. Come on. And they sign Rendon. Like, that's smart. Henry Davis, as you can see here, he is absolutely going off in his first 6 games in the majors. He's got a 478 on base percentage and a slugging percentage of 1.105. He has 3 homers in 6 games. That's why he went 1-1, folks. That is why he went 1-1. Vidal Brujan. Lil Brew can't really hit for power whatsoever. He's quick and he's got good contact skills, but he's not a power guy whatsoever. Next up, Corbin Carol. He's fast. Corbin Carol's fast. He's a speed and contact guy. I mean, he's like a Tony Gwynn light, kind of. Except maybe with a little more power. Yikes, Tony. But Tony hit every single ball that was thrown at him, so he doesn't need power. Shane Baz. He actually has no real stats this year because he went to the Olympics. He looked nasty there. He was their arm. Unfortunately, they got knocked out in the gold medal match, but he looked nasty there. Keibert Ruiz. Keibert Ruiz got traded to the Nationals. He's just a great, great bat to have in that Nationals lineup. I really like Keibert Ruiz as a player. Tristan Casas. He also, I believe, went to the Olympics. He was the first baseman from the Red Sox over there was solid. Might not have been Tristan Casas, my bad. He's a really good hitter, though. So he's been a lot of fun to watch. Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez is the most hyped prospect of all time. I'm sorry. He's not that good. He hasn't shown to be that good. He has so much talent, but 238 average, 2 homers, 15 walks, 44 Ks. I don't know why he got moved up from rookie ball from single A, but 126 at bats, only 30 hits. He's just not looked that good. Sorry to stick on him so long. Joey Bart, number 2 draft pick in that 2018 draft. Not that strong of a draft, to be honest with you. I don't like him that much. I would have really liked him as a Cubs guy to go to the Cubs, but unfortunately that was a false rumor. He's a good power hitting catcher, and that's what you like to see out of him. He's a pretty good fielder with a solid arm. Anthony Volpe has exploded onto the scene this year. He was a prospect name, to be honest with you, but he was not doing that well this year. He's just really exploded. That 305 average is great to see. 438 on base percentage and 20 homers this year. He has looked awesome. Brennan Davis is really exploding this year. I've enjoyed watching Davis. He is a draft pick back in 2018 in this back half of the second round. This is what you love to see. A guy that wasn't drafted as a superstar, but is becoming one. 281 average, 13 bombs on the season. He is a solid fielder, pretty quick, good hitter, very balanced. Next up, we got Jordan Lawler, number 6 pick in this year's draft to the Diamondbacks. I really like Jordan Lawler. He's a very balanced guy. He's been fun to watch. He'll be fun to watch. It was fun to watch him in all the draft rumors and watching him in those perfect game events. Jack Leiter, absolutely electric in college. Leiter was dirt-y. Fastball, solid. Curveball, solid. Slider, solid. Changeup, solid. Solid. He's an overall solid guy. He's been a lot of fun to watch. Noel V Marte is a guy we got next. He wasn't even in the top 100 before this recent update, and now he is burst onto the scene. I don't know why he wasn't in the top 100. He's got a 271 average, 17 bombs this year. That OPS is looking solid up there in the around 920. Francisco Alvarez. He has been an amazing catching bat for this Mets team. They're going to need, for this Mets organization, they're going to need him in the majors because they don't really have much in terms of consistency up there. So I really like him. He's just been raking. Look at these stats. 18 bombs on the year. Next up, Marcelo Mayer, best player in the 2021 draft class. He is a really good hitter. He is a really good fielder. Grayson Rodriguez. This is a very interesting thing. The Baltimore Orioles have both the number 1 pitching prospect and the number 1 hitting prospect. That's called a rebuild, folks. Grayson Rodriguez, he's a good pitcher. He's absolutely nasty. A 2.10 ERA this year, 128 Ks, a .79 WHIP. Get him to the majors, folks. The Orioles just aren't doing baseball right, to be honest, but their prospects certainly are. Riley Green defines 5-tool player. He is one of the best players in the minor leagues right now. He has a 293 average, 16 bombs, and a 887 OPS. I really, really like Riley Green. I'm a Tigers fan, so he is a guy I am looking forward to up in the majors next year. Him and Torkelson. CJ Abrams, I really like him as a hitter. He's a really solid hitter. He really knocks the ball around the yard. Unfortunately, got hurt this year and he's been out. But as you can see in those 42 games he did have, he looked solid. And in his first season in 2019, that was nuts. That was a crazy 34 games. He's not going to be much of a power guy, but he's going to be a solid contact bat up in the majors soon, hopefully. He'll complement Fernando Tatis very well. Marco Luciano, a power-hitting shortstop. He's got a similar level of power to Spencer Torkelson, and Torkelson's a corner infielder. Luciano is definitely a guy to look forward to. 2018 was when he was signed. He is a lot of fun to watch. In the couple highlights I've watched of him, he's an electric player. Spencer Torkelson is so good of a hitter. He had a 7-for-7 day earlier this season, which is absolutely nuts. He's crazy. 60 hit grade, 70 power grade. He's got a chance to have a 60 homer season or something. Bobby Witt Jr. In that first season in 2019, it was not fun to watch. He didn't look that good. He had no power. He had 1 homer in 37 games. This year, though, he's got 25 of them. That's absolutely crazy. He's been raking in his 88 games. Kansas City Royals fans, watch out for him up in the majors. He's going to be so much fun for you guys. J-Rod arguably could be the number one prospect. He has only 10 homers. His stats aren't all that great because he went to play with the Dominican team in the Olympics. He looked pretty good there. 321 average, though. I'll just read you his career lines as a minor leaguer. 322 average and a 940 OPS. Also 27 homers in his 191 games. Look forward to better of that, though, because he's definitely going to continue to improve. Lastly, we got Adelie Rutchman, the number one prospect in all of baseball. He's a catcher who hits like a first baseman or a DH, man. He's crazy good. I wish he was in my farm team if I was anyone. He's got 19 homers on the year, which shows you how good Bobby Witt's numbers were. He is a 60 hit, 65 power, 60 arms, 65 fielding. If that doesn't tell you how good he is, I don't know what does. Thank you guys for watching this video about the top 50 prospects by MLB Pipeline. Please stay tuned for more prospect videos, tier list videos, daily recaps, news videos. We got everything on the channel. Be sure to subscribe and like, and stay tuned for more.